Tokyo Disneyland, one of the greatest Disney parks to ever exist. Since its opening, the park had time to grow and expand. So that's why today we're going to be counting down the top 5 Tokyo Disneyland attractions that should return.
この旅は一生の宝物。夏、東京ディズニーリゾートへの旅。
At number 5, we have Captain EO. Now, this attraction actually played at multiple Disney parks such as Disneyland and Walt Disney World and starred Michael Jackson. And this attraction kind of closed a while back, but I have seen it a couple times in person, and it's extremely entertaining. And I gotta admit, it is a little outdated. I think that's one of the reasons they got rid of it. But what I would do is have the same idea, but maybe put a new face in there. Not even a pop star. For example, Michael Jackson isn't that relevant anymore. But time will tell, maybe one day they'll bring back Captain EO. At number 4, we have the Skyway. Now, this actually was pretty similar to the Disneyland and Walt Disney World Skyway, except it's a lot shorter than the Walt Disney World and Disneyland version. And it also has the same design as the Disneyland station. Now, the reason I think they closed it was because you don't really think of Disneyland when you think of a sky ride. And also, it was extremely short. But for the third and last time, it's such a small space. You can't really put a new attraction there. The only attraction you can put in that space is the Skyway. And number 3, we have Star Tours. Now, I know I did this in my last video, but the reason I want this to return is because Tokyo Disneyland is not getting a Star Wars land. Hopefully in the future, but nothing's been announced. And yes, they already did update the ride. And like I said in the last video, I understand it has to be updated, but I still miss the version. I also really like the handmade sets. In the new version, it's all CGI. It was made the same way the original trilogy was made, when they updated it and switched it to CGI. I felt like it lost a little bit of its charm, but time will tell, maybe one day they'll bring back Star Tours. At number 2, we have Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room. Now, to be honest, I would never think Disney would get rid of this. This is the first audio animatronic show in the entire world. And it was a show created by Walt Disney himself. It originally appeared at Disneyland and eventually here. And I still don't understand why Disney would get rid of this. Every time I go to Disney, the Tiki Room is a must-do, mostly for nostalgia. I think they closed it was because maybe it wasn't popular, but they did try to revamp it by adding Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. And honestly, I like the original a lot better. They tried to do something similar in Walt Disney World, but instead of Stitch, they added the bird from Aladdin and the bird from Lion King. What I think they should do is bring back the entire original show, and hopefully they can bring back Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room.
Hey amigo, stop the clucking. You sound like a bunch of old hands. There's a lot of birds waiting to go on.
And number 1, we have the Grand Circuit Raceway. To Disneyland, Autopia, and to Walt Disney World, the Tomorrowland Speedway. This was another attraction created by Walt Disney, and it recently closed. Now, one of the reasons I think they got rid of it was it's not really futuristic, which is true, but it once was, as the attraction was to depict freeways, which was not really a thing of the time of the original attraction. Personally, I feel like Tokyo Disneyland doesn't really care about Walt Disney's history, as they're okay with closing classic attractions. But for the final time in this episode, time will tell, maybe one day they'll bring back the Grand Circuit Raceway.